Before we move forward, please like, share, and subscribe Strategic Vanguard and be up to date with the latest news and happenings from the world of defense, strategic, and international affairs. Tune into our video channels in YouTube and Rumble. And if you want to hear the audio version, tune into our Strategic Vanguard channels in Spotify and Amazon Music.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something pretty complex, maybe even a bit unsettling. Imagine a battlefield. Everything seems normal, radars are working, comms are up, but then suddenly, chaos. No bombs, no bullets fired. Instead, screens start showing things that aren't there. Radios give out conflicting orders. Maybe drones start acting erratically. And commanders, they end up making terrible decisions based on lies fed into their systems.
Yeah, and this isn't science fiction anymore, is it? This is really the sharp edge of modern conflict. We're talking about cognitive electronic warfare, or CEW.
Right, CEW. And the key thing here is that the battlefield isn't what we traditionally think of. Not land, sea, air, or even cyberspace in the usual sense.
Exactly. The real battleground, the focus, it's the human mind.
The human mind itself.
Precisely, and this is serious business globally. Military planners, especially in major powers, are investing huge sums, billions
into systems designed to what exactly? Invade perception.
Invade perception, manipulate how people make decisions, and basically paralyze an enemy's operations from the inside out. Think about the US, China, Russia, they're all racing ahead in this very shadowy domain. It's fundamentally changing warfare.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then.
Yeah.
We need to unpack what CEW actually is. How does it work? Who's really leading the charge in this race? And maybe the biggest question, what does all this mean for you, for global security, for the future?
Sounds like a plan. It's crucial stuff to understand.
Definitely. So let's start maybe with the basics. To get CEW, we probably need to understand traditional electronic warfare, EW, first.
Good idea. Traditional EW has a long history, right? Goes back to World War II.
Yeah, things like jamming enemy radar so they can't see your planes.
Or disrupting their radio communication so troops can't talk to each other, deceiving sensors, blinding missiles. It's all about controlling the electromagnetic spectrum.
But you mentioned a limitation earlier. Traditional EW works on fixed rules.
Exactly. That's the key difference. It's pre-programmed. If the enemy changes their radar frequency or their comms protocol, your old jamming technique might just stop working.
So it's reactive. It can become obsolete pretty quickly if the other side adapts.
Precisely. It's a constant game of catch-up.
Okay, so how does CEW move beyond that? What makes it revolutionary?
Right. This is where AI and machine learning come in. CEW isn't just following rules, it thinks. It learns, it adapts, all during the heat of battle.
It thinks and learns. How does it do that?
Well, it's constantly monitoring everything in the enemy's electromagnetic spectrum. Radar signals, radio traffic, GPS, even satellite links.
Okay, so it's gathering data constantly.
Constantly. And then using AI, it analyzes that data in real time. It understands the enemy's systems, learns their patterns, maybe even predicts what they'll do next. And based on that understanding, it crafts and deploys the perfect countermeasure, jamming, deception, whatever works best, often within seconds.
Within seconds. That's incredibly fast.
Much faster than a human team could ever manage. You can almost picture it like a digital predator.
A digital predator. I like that analogy.
Yeah, it observes the prey, the enemy signals, learns their habits, predicts the next move, and then strikes with exactly the right kind of deception or noise to confuse them. It's autonomous, adaptive, relentless.
And this is the crucial part you mentioned. It's not just about confusing machines, is it?
No, that's the fundamental shift. CEW directly targets the human cognitive loop.
The human decision-making process.
Exactly. Commanders rely on information from their sensors, their comms, their intelligence feeds. CEW aims to corrupt that information right at the source.
So if your radar shows you ghost planes coming in,
or your GPS tells your tanks to drive into a swamp,
or you get fake orders over the radio that sound completely real,
then humans, under pressure, make mistakes, potentially catastrophic mistakes.
So CEW weaponizes perception. It turns the enemy commander's own brain, their understanding of reality, into the battlefield.
That's the core idea. Induce paralysis, confusion, bad decisions, all without firing a shot in the traditional sense.
Okay, let's make this more concrete. What would this actually look like for, say, a commander on the ground? Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's imagine an Indian Air Defense unit. They're protecting a vital naval base.
Okay. critical infrastructure.
Right. Suddenly, their radar screens light up. It looks like a huge swarm of enemy drones is inbound. Multiple targets, fast-moving.
Alarms go off, standard procedure kicks in.
Exactly. Panic, maybe. Interceptors are launched, missiles fly, trying to take down these incoming threats.
There's always a but in these scenarios, isn't there?
There is. The but is, those drones never existed.
What?
A CEW system may be operating from a distance, cleverly injected false signals, ghost targets, directly into their radar system's feed.
So they wasted their missiles.
They wasted expensive, limited interceptor missiles on thin air, and while they were distracted dealing with phantoms,
A single real enemy drone, maybe just one, slips through unnoticed.
and takes out their primary radar installation, the very thing they needed to see real threats. Game over for that battery.
Wow, that's devastating. And you're saying this isn't just theoretical.
Not at all. We've seen elements of this, particularly electronic spoofing, used in actual conflicts. Look at Ukraine.
Right, I remember hearing reports.
Soldiers reported seeing entire enemy units just vanish from their screens or reappear somewhere else entirely moments later. Think about the confusion, the mistrust in your own equipment that creates.
It paralyzes you. You don't know what to believe.
Precisely. So how does the CEW system achieve this? It generally works in a loop, a cycle. 4 main steps.
Okay, let's break down that loop.
First, sense. It's constantly scanning the whole electromagnetic spectrum, listening, watching for signals.
Step 1, gather data.
Step 2, understand. This is the AI part. It analyzes the signals, identifies what systems the enemy is using, learns their patterns, maybe even predicts their intent.
So it builds a picture of what the enemy is doing electronically.
Exactly. Then step 3, decide. Based on its understanding, the AI determines the best way to interfere. Should it jam? Deceive. Create noise. It calculates the optimal strategy.
And it does this calculation instantly.
Pretty much. Which leads to step 4, act. It executes the chosen electronic attack, the jamming, the spoofing signal, whatever it decided. And crucially, it keeps sensing and understanding, ready to adapt if the enemy changes tactics.
Ah, so it's not just a one-shot deal, it adapts.
Continuously, if the enemy switches their radar frequency to try and beat the jamming.
The CEW system detects that change.
Understands it, decides on a new jamming frequency, and acts instantly.
Same if a pilot changes their tactics.
Same thing. The CEW system reshapes the electronic environment around them in real time. It's like an intelligent, adaptive electronic cage.
That adaptability sounds like the real game changer.
It is, but perhaps the most dangerous aspect is its power of deception, creating those fake realities we talked about,
Showing tanks that aren't there.
or hiding real ships behind a wall of digital noise so your radar can't see them.
Or just flooding the network with so much conflicting, confusing data that the commanders just freeze up.
Exactly. Information overload leading to decision paralysis. Because when you start doubting your own sensors, your own intelligence, you hesitate.
And hesitation in battle.
Is often fatal. You lose the initiative, you lose control, you lose the fight.
Okay, this is clearly powerful, potentially terrifying stuff.
Yeah.
So who's winning this invisible arms race? Who's furthest ahead?
Well, it's a race, and different players have different strengths, but the U.S. is definitely a major leader.
What are they focusing on?
A lot of cutting-edge research through places like DARPA. They ran this thing called the Spectrum Collaboration Challenge.
Right, I think I read about that. AI radios competing.
Exactly. AI-driven radios fighting each other to control the spectrum. And the key takeaway was that these AI systems could coordinate complex electronic attacks way faster and sometimes more effectively than human teams. They're pushing towards autonomous CEW at the tactical level.
So individual units having this capability.
Potentially, yes. The Air Force is testing cognitive EW pods for fighter jets. Imagine a pod that detects an enemy radar, analyzes it, and jams or deceives it automatically on the fly.
And the Navy.
They're looking at autonomous drones specifically designed for electronic attack to protect carrier groups by jamming or spoofing incoming threats.
Okay, so the U.S. is heavily invested. What about China?
China sees this as absolutely central to future warfare. They've officially declared intelligentized warfare as their next big military evolution.
Intelligentized warfare. Sounds like AI is core to that.
Absolutely, and PLA researchers are very open about wanting to merge CEW with psychological warfare. Not just jamming machines, but actively manipulating the data to confuse the human operators.
Directly targeting the person again.
Yes, and they're building massive signal databases, collecting data on foreign radar systems, communication systems to train their AI models. They need that data for the machine learning.
Have we seen them use any of this?
There have been numerous reports, especially around the South China Sea, of Chinese systems conducting GPS spoofing against civilian ships and aircraft. It shows they have advanced capabilities and the will to use them, even below the threshold of traditional conflict.
And Russia, they have a lot of traditional EW experience, don't they?
Decades of it, and they've used it extensively in real-world combat situations. Look at Ukraine again.
The GPS jamming, blocking radios.
Blinding surveillance drones, disrupting command and control. They're very proficient. And reports suggest they're now actively developing their own AI-driven systems to automate spectrum control and respond faster to Western EW capabilities. They're building on a strong foundation.
So it seems like these three, the US, China, Russia, they all see controlling the spectrum, controlling perception as absolutely vital for future conflict.
It's a strategic race, plain and simple. They believe whoever masters CEW gains a decisive advantage.
Okay, bringing this closer to home then. What does this landscape mean for a country like India? Where does India fit into this picture?
That's a critical question. India certainly has strengths in traditional EW.
Right, you hear about systems like Samyukta for the Army or the Allura jammers for the Navy, Divya Drishti for spectrum monitoring.
Yes, DRDO, DLRL, they've built a solid foundation. There are good indigenous systems for conventional EW tasks. That's definitely a positive starting point.
But is it enough in this new CEW era?
That's the concern. Based on open source information, India hasn't yet fielded a true cognitive EW system. There appear to be some significant gaps.
Such as?
Well, firstly, the lack of large-scale, curated battlefield data sets specifically for training AI in the Indian context. AI needs data, lots of relevant data, to learn effectively.
So building the brain requires the right food.
Precisely. Then there's the issue of integration.
Right.
How well do India's existing EW, cyber warfare, and ISR intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance systems actually talk to each other in real time? CEW requires seamless fusion.
Silos are a problem.
A big problem. And structurally, there isn't a single unified tri-services command dedicated to spectrum warfare, pulling everything together under one strategic direction.
And collaboration with the private sector.
That seems to be another gap. India has a booming AI startup scene, but the collaboration between the military and these private firms on cutting-edge CEW development appears limited compared to, say, the US.
So the danger isn't just about not having the latest hardware.
No, not at all. CEW is an ecosystem. It needs the hardware, yes, but it also needs AI scientists, behavioral psychologists who understand decision-making under pressure, electronic engineers, military strategists, all working together.
Plus the data, the high-speed networks.
Exactly. If India doesn't build this integrated cognitive capability, not just buy pieces of equipment, then its forces risk being cognitively outmaneuvered, walking into traps they can't even perceive.
So what's the way forward? What does India need to do?
There are several key steps, I think. First, establishing a dedicated tri-services cognitive warfare command, maybe under the Chief of Defense Staff, seems essential for unity of effort.
Break down those silos.
Yes, and integrate the cyber, space, and EW units operationally. They need to function as one joint force in the spectrum domain.
Makes sense. What about the data problem?
Building a secure national spectrum cloud could be vital. A centralized repository of all relevant signal data friendly, adversary, neutral, specifically for training Indian AI models for CEW.
An indigenous data lake for AI training.
Exactly. And actively incentivizing Indian private AI companies to co-develop algorithms and systems with the military, leveraging that domestic talent pool.
And the human element. The psychology.
Funding specific research, maybe through military academic partnerships, focused on behavioral science, decision-making under deception, how humans react to cognitive attacks. That's crucial, too.
It sounds like a comprehensive, urgent effort is needed.
I believe so. Mastering this domain isn't optional. It's likely fundamental to India's security posture in the 2030s and beyond.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. We've talked about the military applications, but you mentioned earlier this goes beyond traditional warfare, that it gets unsettling.
It does, because while CEW might seem bloodless, no explosions, no physical destruction in the traditional sense, it's far from harmless, the risks are significant and quite different.
Like what? What are the main dangers here?
Well, think about escalation. If a CEW system launches a spoofing attack that looks like a real physical attack, could it trigger an accidental war? Misinterpretation is a huge risk.
A false alarm leading to real shooting.
Potentially. Then there's collateral damage. What happens if military CEW operations unintentionally jam civilian air traffic control, or interfere with hospital equipment, or disrupt financial networks that rely on precise timing signals like GPS?
The effects could spill over into civilian life drastically.
Absolutely. And another major issue is untraceability. These attacks are often invisible, fleeting electronic signals. Proving who did what is incredibly difficult.
Which encourages what? Covert attacks.
Exactly. It lowers the barrier for states to conduct hostile acts against each other in peacetime below the threshold of armed conflict because they think they can get away with it. Plausible deniability.
And even friendly fire. Can the AI get it wrong?
There's always that risk. An AI classifying friendly signals as hostile or vice versa, especially in a complex, congested electronic environment, it could lead to tragic mistakes.
And compounding all this, you're saying the law hasn't caught up.
Not even close. International law, the laws of war, they don't really have a category for cognitive electronic warfare. There are no specific treaties, no established norms, no clear rules of engagement or accountability.
So it's a legal Wild West.
Largely, yes, which blurs that line between peace and war even further. It creates a very unstable, unpredictable environment.
And ethically, where does this take us?
That's perhaps the deepest question. CEW, by definition, targets the human mind. Is it ethical to deliberately induce confusion, fear, potentially even hallucinations in soldiers through manipulated data?
What are the long-term psychological impacts of being subjected to that kind of attack?
We don't fully know. It raises fundamental questions about the limits of warfare. How far should we go, especially democracies, in weaponizing human cognition itself? These aren't easy questions.
No, they certainly aren't. And we need to grapple with them before this technology becomes even more widespread and powerful.
Ideally, yes, before we find ourselves reacting to consequences we didn't anticipate.
Okay, let's try to visualize the future then. Paint us a picture. Fast forward to, say, 2035, a hypothetical conflict scenario.
Right. Scenario 1. India hasn't fully mastered CEW.
Okay, the unprepared scenario.
Tensions are high in the Indian Ocean. An Indian carrier battle group sails out to deter or intercept an adversary.
A standard power projection move.
Yes. But then, things start going wrong. The fleet's radar screens fill with ghost contacts, dozens of ships that aren't there. Simultaneously, real enemy destroyers approaching suddenly vanish from the screens.
Hidden by electronic noise.
Or spoof data. Aircraft pilots find their autopilots acting strangely, veering off course. Communications channels start spitting out contradictory orders, seemingly from high command, sowing confusion among the fleet commanders.
Chaos and paralysis.
Exactly. Maybe some missiles are fired, but they hit empty ocean where the ghost targets were. Within maybe half an hour, India's most powerful naval formation is disoriented, its command structure fractured, effectively neutralized.
And the key point.
Not a single kinetic shot was fired by the enemy. They won by rewriting India's perception of reality using advanced CEW.
That's a chilling picture. Now give us the alternative.
Yeah.
Scenario 2. India is prepared.
Okay, same situation, 2035, tensions high. But this time, India has deployed its own integrated CEW suite across the fleet.
What happens differently?
As the adversary approaches, India's AI-driven jammers activate. They subtly cloak the Indian ships, making them harder to detect or perhaps appear somewhere else on enemy radar.
Turning the tables.
Yes. And simultaneously, India's CEW systems might inject false targets into the enemy sensor network, show them phantom Indian submarines perhaps, or corrupt their battlefield data feeds with subtle errors.
So the enemy commander starts seeing ghosts.
Exactly. They become hesitant. Are those real threats? Can I trust my sensors? That hesitation costs them time, initiative, they delay action, fearing traps and illusions.
And India uses that hesitation.
India seizes the tactical advantage, maneuvers effectively, and achieves its objectives. Victory, again, achieved not primarily through destroying hardware, but by dominating the cognitive space, by conquering perception.
Two very different outcomes based entirely on mastery of this invisible domain.
It highlights how future conflicts might be won or lost.
So wrapping this up, it's clear cognitive electronic warfare isn't just some new gadget or weapon system.
No, it's much more fundamental. It's really a new dimension of conflict.
One that actively targets the human mind, blurring the lines between what's real and what's fake, signal and illusion, even thought and manipulation.
And as the major powers race ahead, developing these capabilities, the stakes are incredibly high. For India, for every nation really, getting left behind isn't an option.
You need the tools, the trained personnel, the integrated structures.
And crucially, the ethical frameworks. We need to build the capabilities, but also establish the guardrails. Because if we don't, the first casualty in future wars won't just be truth, it will be perception itself.
A profound final thought. So, for everyone listening, after hearing all this, what stands out most to you? How does this change the way you might think about information technology in the future of conflict? Something to definitely keep pondering.
Thank you for joining us on this Strategic Vanguard podcast. If you found value in this analysis, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We bring you fresh podcasts every Monday here on YouTube and Rumble, and you can also catch the audio versions on Spotify and Amazon Music. Just search for Strategic Vanguard Podcast. For more insights, articles, and discussions, subscribe to our blog at strategicvanguard.com. Your support helps us grow and bring you more in-depth analysis on defense, geopolitics, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay strategic.